Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Thursday, October 19th, 2023. At our top story today, holiday travelers modify their travel plans due to inflation. And joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Ted Rossman is with Bankrate. Ted, always great to see you. Thanks for popping by the program this morning.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right. Last time we had you on, we talked about inflation. We talked about credit card debt. The inflation having an impact, Ted, on the holiday travel market.
That's right. Yeah. We found on one hand, more people are likely to travel, which I think is interesting, 48% this year versus 43% a year ago. But as you mentioned, inflation is kind of this elephant in the room. 77% of holiday travelers are making changes to their plans because of inflation. So in other words, they still want to take the trip, but they're willing to cut corners to save money. Some of the biggest modifications were driving instead of flying, taking fewer trips, and also picking cheaper accommodations and cheaper activities.
Yeah. So, obviously changing, not flying, because flying can be a little bit more expensive than driving. But Ted, you've also got to factor in gas prices, which I guess have started to come back down maybe a little bit in certain parts of the country. So that makes driving maybe a little bit more favorable, provided you're not driving like 20 hours to grandma's house during the holidays.
Yes, you've got to weigh the time, gas prices. If you need to do a stopover and stay in a hotel, these things can all add to the cost. But airfares are so expensive that I think a lot of people are piling the luggage and kids and presents into the car and driving this year. There are some other ways to save. When it comes to flying, use those rewards points. You may be sitting on a stockpile of credit card rewards and airline miles and hotel points, and you might as well use them. They're probably not going to get more valuable over time. Be flexible too. Take Thanksgiving, for example. So many people fly on Wednesday and Sunday. Could you go a little earlier? Could you stay a little later? Sometimes traveling on the holiday itself represents a really good deal. So if you're willing to kind of roll the dice on a Thanksgiving morning flight and hopefully you still make it there in time for the big family dinner, that could offer some big cost savings.
Ted, any idea of how maybe different income strata are handling this inflation? Clearly, people who have more income maybe have a little bit more flexibility. But what about middle income Americans, people maybe on the I don't want to say lower because that doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. The different strata at the lower end of income, maybe they're have different thoughts.
Two demographics that really stood out: lower income households and young adults. Those groups are feeling the most squeezed by holiday travel costs. I think it makes sense. There's actually a lot of overlap between those groups too. A lot of times younger people have lower incomes, less money to go around, travel's expensive. I think it's also worth noting that a lot of times when we talk about holiday travel, it's the parents or grandparents who host, and then it's really on the young adults to travel to them, and sometimes with their own kids in tow. And it can be expensive, especially at a time when student loan payments have resumed and there's high costs for just about everything. I mean, not that older people are immune, but I think younger people, they're fretting about childcare costs and student loans and the high cost of buying your first home or renting your first apartment. I think these are all reasons why they're feeling especially burdened by holiday travel costs.
Yeah, it certainly is crushing, and it just raises the anxiety. I mean, I know I personally feel anxiety around the financial situation and inflation. Ted, I want to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about some tips, tricks, and a lot more to find the best holiday travel deals. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network. Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Ted Rossman of Bankrate. Ted, thanks so much for staying with us. Really appreciate you hanging around for segment number 2 this morning.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I always like picking your brain because you are a personal finance expert and you bring it all together so well. Ted, you talked about paying using mileage, whether it's mileage on your airline account or mileage that's associated with your credit card points. How are individuals thinking about paying for this travel? Because, Ted, we've talked about it with you, credit card debt really starting to balloon.
That's right. Yeah. Credit cards are actually projected to be the most popular method for paying for holiday travel and actually holiday shopping as well. That big fork in the road is whether or not you carry a balance, because if you can pay in full and avoid interest, credit cards are great. You get rewards, you get buyer protections. Talking about travel, you get travel insurance for free with a lot of credit cards. So there's a lot to like, except for the interest rate. So that's the big thing to be aware of. The average credit card charges over 20%. So my advice would be only use a credit card if you can pay in full and avoid interest. I know maybe that's easier said than done. We have to point out too that almost half of credit card holders already carry debt from month to month. But if that's you, I would say let's focus on other debt payoff strategies, like maybe a 0% balance transfer card or nonprofit credit counseling. Don't dig the hole any deeper if you can avoid it.
Yeah. Ted, how do I find the best deal? I was actually, before you and I were chatting, I'm actually going to be traveling to a conference. I have some points with my carrier. I was actually looking at using those points because they don't fly direct and doing like a one-stop flight and using the points. But how do I find the best deal possible? Obviously, time is your ally. Any thoughts there?
Book earlier for the better deals. And we're already getting kind of late in the game for holiday travel. So not to discourage people who haven't booked yet, but jump on it as soon as you can, I would say. All those old rules of thumb about like book on a Tuesday or Wednesday, I feel like that's gone out the window. I think that really now it's just the earlier the better. I like to use Google Flights as a comparison tool. They have a really good search engine. I think be flexible about your routing. I like what you mentioned about a layover because sometimes that can actually be cheaper. Sometimes going to a smaller, more regional airport, if you're willing to drive a little further, who knows, you may be able to find a deal. Or if you live a little further from the big city, maybe driving to that airport will help. In other words, cast a wide net, be flexible. If you can travel on the holiday or on less traveled days, I think that's going to help you out. And really just do the best you can to comparison shop because I know prices are high, inventory is pretty tight. It's going to be an expensive holiday travel season.
Yeah, Ted, I wonder if we should advise people to hit up their parents. You mentioned the student loan debt. Maybe parents would want to pay for their children to come back for Thanksgiving, for the holidays.
I think that's a very good point. Yeah, I think that if that's affordable for the parents or grandparents to do, I think that's a nice gesture. It sort of brings to mind that saying about your presence is the present. I mean, not to be corny about it, but hey, that is a big part of the holidays is gathering with family and friends. So you might even consider that in lieu of gifts, for example.
Yeah, and I don't want to plant seeds, and man, there could be lots of arguments as a result of this program. But I think I agree with you. I think parents want their kids. I'm not saying, and by the way, to my mom and dad, I'm not going to be calling you anytime soon to ask you for tickets. But I just think for maybe some of us younger folks, maybe that might make sense. Ted, we're going to have to leave it there. Always great to talk to you, and we'll catch up again with you very soon. Thanks so much for joining us.
I'll look forward to it. Thank you.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news in lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content? Well, then visit our website. We're back again tomorrow with another edition of BRN AM with a very special guest. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.